Canada's forts hold more than just history. They harbor restless spirits and chilling secrets. From eerie apparitions to ghostly whispers, these sites have seen centuries of battles, betrayals, and untimely deaths. Join us as we uncover the 15 most haunted forts in Canada, where the past refuses to stay buried. Are you ready to explore the supernatural side of history? 1. Fort Henry, Ontario. Fort Henry, an imposing military structure overlooking Kingston, Ontario, has long been a magnet for ghostly tales. As the story goes, a young soldier met a tragic end within the fortress walls. Sentenced to death for desertion, he was executed by firing squad, a punishment he may not have deserved. To this day, his restless spirit roams the dark stone corridors. Visitors often report the sound of heavy boots echoing through empty halls, accompanied by an oppressive chill that seems to emanate from the walls themselves. One of the most spine-tingling encounters comes from a night watchman who swore he saw a figure in a tattered uniform standing near the execution yard. The man turned, his eyes hollow, and pointed toward the watchman. Before he could scream, the figure vanished into thin air. Some have claimed to hear the soldier's anguished cries during the fortress's ghost tours, adding a terrifying authenticity to the legends. Fort Henry's dark history seems to be etched into its very stones, keeping its tortured spirits firmly bound to the living world. 2. The Halifax Citadel, Nova Scotia. The Halifax Citadel stands as a sentinel of Canada's past, but its dark corners hide more than history. During a stormy night in the 19th century, a guard was found dead at his post under mysterious circumstances. Rumors of foul play spread, and soon his spirit began haunting the citadel. Tourists often feel an invisible presence following them through the tunnels, while others report hearing footsteps that stop abruptly, as if someone is standing just behind them. The most chilling story comes from a guide who found himself locked in a guard room with no key in sight. Moments later, he heard a soft whisper, "Leave." Room plummeted, and a faint voice was picked up on their recorder saying, "Help me." Shadows darted across the room, and one investigator claimed to feel an icy hand on their shoulder. Locals speak of a figure in a redcoat uniform walking the fort's perimeter, only to vanish when approached. Children visiting the site have also reported seeing a sad man near the powder magazine. Fort George is more than a historical site. It's a portal to the past, where the echoes of war refuse to fade. 4. Fort Garry, Manitoba. Fort Garry, a historic Hudson's Bay Company trading post, has a sinister side that emerges after dark. Known for its role in Canada's fur trade, it's also infamous for its ghostly residents. Legend has it that a trader who was betrayed by his partner met his end in the fort's main hall. His spirit is said to haunt the grounds, seeking vengeance. Guests have reported hearing the sound of heavy boots pacing above them, even when no one is there. One chilling tale comes from a couple who stayed near the fort. In the middle of the night, they awoke to see a shadowy figure standing at the foot of their bed. staring silently before dissolving into the darkness. The spirit's presence is often accompanied by the smell of smoke and the sound of a door creaking open, even when it's locked. Fort Garry's haunted reputation ensures its place among Canada's most unnerving sites. 5. Fort York, Ontario. Fort York, a historic military garrison in Toronto, has been the site of many eerie encounters. During the War of 1812, the fort witnessed immense bloodshed, and some believe the spirits of fallen soldiers still linger. One of the most terrifying stories involves the sound of cannons firing late at night, only to find no evidence of such activity the next morning. Visitors have reported seeing ghostly figures dressed in 19th century military uniforms, standing guard near the ramparts. A chilling incident occurred during a historical reenactment when an actor claimed to see a soldier watching them from the shadows. When approached, the figure disappeared, leaving behind an icy cold spot. Tour guides have also recounted hearing whispered conversations in empty barracks and seeing lantern lights flickering in abandoned guard rooms. Fort York's past refuses to stay silent, making it a hub for paranormal intrigue. 6. Fort Chambly, Quebec. Perched along the Richelieu River, Fort Chambly hides a chilling history beneath its picturesque exterior. Built in the 17th century to defend against British invasions, it has since become a hotspot for ghostly encounters. One of the fort's most well-known spirits is that of a French soldier who reportedly drowned in the river after a late-night skirmish. Locals and visitors alike have claimed to see a spectral figure in a sodden uniform wandering the riverside, water dripping from his boots, only for him to vanish into the mist. Inside the fort, whispers in French echo through the empty hallways, and some visitors have reported hearing the faint sound of clashing swords. A chilling story tells of a tourist who felt a hand grasp their shoulder while exploring an old storage room. Turning around, they found no one there, but the air was so cold that their breath frosted. Fort Chambly remains a beautiful yet eerie reminder of the lives lost defending it, their spirits refusing to rest. 7. Louisbourg Fortress, Nova Scotia. Louisbourg Fortress, a grand relic One guide recounted a terrifying experience. While locking up for the night, they saw a figure in full military attire standing by the fireplace. When they blinked, the figure was gone, but the room felt unbearably cold. Louisbourg's beauty is haunting, but it is the spirits of its defenders that give the fortress its chilling atmosphere. 8. Fort Walsh, Saskatchewan. Deep within the Cypress Hills, Fort Walsh is a site steeped in both history and hauntings. This former Northwest Mounted Police outpost has a grim past, with violence and tragedy staining its history. The most notorious story involves the massacre of a group of settlers near the fort. Their restless spirits are said to wander the area, and many visitors have reported hearing ghostly cries carried on the wind at night. One ranger described an encounter with a shadowy figure that seemed to watch him from the tree line before vanishing into the dark. Others have reported hearing the sounds of horses galloping through the grounds. Even though no horses have been kept at the fort for decades. The fort's watchtower is also known for its eerie activity. People have reported seeing a lantern light swaying as if carried by an invisible hand. For those who visit Fort Walsh, the sense of being watched never truly fades, leaving an indelible mark on their memories. Fort Amherst, Newfoundland and Labrador. Overlooking the rugged coastline of Newfoundland, Fort Amherst carries a chilling legacy of shipwrecks and wartime tragedy. Built to defend against enemy naval attacks, it has seen its fair share of death and despair. The most spine-tingling tale involves the spirit of a lighthouse keeper who is said to haunt the area. According to legend, the keeper died tragically during a violent storm, trying to save sailors from a sinking ship. Visitors have reported seeing his ghostly figure standing by the cliffs, his lantern glowing faintly in the fog before disappearing. Strange occurrences are also common inside the fort's tunnels. Workers restoring the site claimed to hear whispers and footsteps echoing through the darkness. One described feeling an icy hand brush against their arm, though they were alone at the time. Fort Amherst's combination of natural beauty and ghostly activity makes it both a captivating and unsettling place to visit. In Fort Anne, Nova Scotia. Fort Anne, Canada's oldest national historic site, is a hotspot for paranormal activity. With its long history of conflict, the fort has become a resting place for restless spirits. One of the most famous ghosts is the Weeping Nurse, believed to be the spirit of a caretaker who died during an epidemic. Visitors have reported hearing her soft sobs echoing through the infirmary. Some have even claimed to see her apparition, dressed in 18th century attire, tending to unseen patients. The officers' quarters are another site of strange happenings. Tourists have described doors slamming shut on their own and feeling sudden cold drafts in the middle of summer. A particularly eerie account comes from a family who stayed overnight and heard heavy footsteps pacing above them, despite being the only ones there. Fort Anne's haunting beauty and spectral residents ensure its place as one of the most haunted locations in Canada. 11. Fort Road Hill, British Columbia. Nestled along Vancouver Island's shoreline, Fort Road Hill is known not only for its stunning views, but also for its unsettling hauntings. Built as a coastal defense during the late 19th century, the fort's history of war and isolation has left an eerie mark. Fort Road Hill's serene surroundings are in stark contrast to the lingering spirits who refuse to leave their post. 12. Fort Edmonton, Alberta. Fort Edmonton, a reconstructed Hudson's Bay Company outpost, is steeped in eerie legends. Though it serves as a historical attraction today, its dark past makes it a magnet for paranormal activity. The most chilling story involves the apparition of a fur trader who is said to have been murdered during a dispute. His ghost is often seen near the old trading post, glaring at visitors before fading into the shadows. Guides have reported objects moving on their own, such as lanterns swinging without any wind, or tools inexplicably shifting position. One visitor recounted hearing a low growl emanating from the blacksmith's shop, only to find the space empty. In the fort's watchtower, guests have felt an overwhelming sense of dread, as though someone or something is looming over them. Fort Edmonton's spirits seem to linger, bound to the site by unfinished business and a refusal to be forgotten. 13. Fort Lennox, Quebec. Located on Île-aux-Noix in the Richelieu River, Fort Lennox was once a strategic military site, but its eerie history has overshadowed its historical significance. The most unnerving legend involves a young woman who drowned near the fort while awaiting her soldier lover. Her spirit is said to haunt the area, her mournful cries often heard echoing across the water on foggy nights. Witnesses have reported seeing a spectral figure dressed in white, wandering the fort's grounds before vanishing into the mist. The barracks are equally unsettling, with many visitors experiencing unexplained cold drafts and hearing faint whispers. One particularly chilling story comes from a staff member who heard someone humming a sad tune in an empty corridor. When they investigated, they found only silence and a lingering feeling of despair. Fort Lennox's haunting beauty is matched only by the sorrowful spirits that roam its grounds. 14. Fort Malden, Ontario. Fort Malden, located in Amherstburg, Ontario, holds a dark and tumultuous history that has given rise to eerie legends. Built in 1796 to defend against American forces during the War of 1812, the fort was a site of many bloody conflicts, and its haunted reputation is a direct reflection of the violence that once took place here. One of the most chilling stories involves the ghost of a British officer who was killed in battle. His spectral form is said to roam the fort's grounds, particularly near the officers' quarters, where his ghostly figure in uniform has been spotted. Visitors have reported hearing the sound of heavy boots marching, even when no one is nearby, and the unmistakable smell of gunpowder fills the air, despite there being no weapons discharged for centuries. The most disturbing experience comes from those who have entered the fort's powder magazine at night. Those brave enough to explore claim to hear muffled voices and feel a cold presence watching them from the shadows. One paranormal investigator storm. His spirit is said to wander the ramparts, appearing as a shadowy figure on icy nights. Witnesses have also reported hearing anguished screams carried on the wind. Inside the fort, visitors have described an unsettling feeling of being watched. One particularly terrifying encounter involved a group of explorers who heard heavy breathing in one of the empty rooms. When they turned on their flashlights, they found nothing but frost-covered walls. Fort Prince of Wales's desolate location only adds to its haunting atmosphere, making it a chilling reminder of the hardships endured by those who once lived there. These haunted forts remind us that history is alive, sometimes in the most unsettling ways. Which of these ghostly stories sent shivers down your spine? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more spine-chilling adventures. Until next time, stay curious. and maybe keep the lights on.